Hi guys, Sky here, tuning in. Tonight I'm going to be discussing endometriosis and infertility. I've had quite a few women writing in and asking me questions about this topic, so I feel that it's probably a very good idea that I discuss it. Now, when you read documentations and things like this about endometriosis, and some of the things that can come with it is infertility. I do feel though that whenever I read that, I become quite numb because I feel like it's just a little bit of a by the way this could happen. But the truth of the matter is that it happens more often than what we think, and unfortunately, it's something that it affects not just women, but it affects their partners and affects family and friends and things like that. And this topic is very close to my heart because due to my severity of endometriosis, I was indeed infertile. It's taken me a long time to accept that, but it is what it is. So I'll probably be discussing this in two parts, so just bear with me. Now, I know as a woman, before I knew I was completely infertile, I was constantly beating myself up as to why I wasn't falling pregnant. And I was constantly fighting myself against time. Time was my biggest enemy. I felt that once I hit over 30, I've got high risk of falling into menopause early, and one of my ovaries doesn't feel like it's working properly, and there'd just be time, and all this pressure would come with it, and and then it makes a massive impact on your relationships. And I know, like, I would constantly saying, I'm going to run out of time, I'm going to become infertile, I'm not going to be able to have my baby. And it physically drove me to the point of just tears so often, and like more than what I'd ever lead on. Like, it would break my heart every time that I would do my fertility tests and it would say that I was fertile, and then that moment when you're thinking maybe I did fall pregnant this time, and then unfortunately no, you didn't fall pregnant. And this happened every single month, and it happened for quite a long time, and it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And like, I was healthy, I eat well, I exercise when I could, and people would say, you've just got to relax and try not to stress. And I think that is the hardest thing. I think that's the biggest load of crap, and I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it. I think it is. I think realistically, yes, stress does not help the situation at all, and I'll admit that it doesn't. But I really feel that if your ovaries and your fallopian tubes are blocked and things like this, it doesn't matter how relaxed you are. Sometimes it's just not meant to be. Now, I know that for me, and I know for a lot of women, I've read stories and I've spoken to people, and one of the hardest things to do when you're trying to have a baby is go to your OBGYN and sit in their office while you're waiting to have your appointment. And of course, they also deal with pregnant women. And so while you're sitting there beating yourself up because you can't get pregnant and your endo is giving you absolute hell, and you're in and out of hospital and you're on pain medication, and your brain is so worn down and stressed from the pain, and then stress on top of trying to have a baby, it's too much and it hurts. And like, sitting in a room where these women are got pregnant bellies and they've got little toddlers running around, and you're sitting there looking at them and you're secretly thinking, I would give absolutely anything to be that person. I wish I was that person going in to have my scan done on my baby. But it doesn't happen like that, and it hurts. And I really, really wish that there was a separate waiting room, so you know, it makes it a bit easier for some people sometimes. And I'm not one of those people who gets sad when I find out that my friends and family members have gotten pregnant. I don't get sad. I will admit that I wish that it was me, and I might go a bit quiet for a little bit and let myself process it. And it does sometimes sit in that spot where you wish it didn't sit, and sometimes it does make you a little bit upset, but you're not upset for the fact that they're pregnant. You're just upset because you wish it was you. But naturally you're overjoyed, and you're so happy and for your friends and family, and you really are. Like, you really are excited that this is their turn. But I get it when people say that they feel a little bit lost when they find out that kind of information, and I understand. And on the topic that I said that I'd be discussing over the next few weeks is what we want our friends and family members to know. I think this is one of the big things that I want to say is, don't tell us that you understand how it feels when you don't, and don't tell us it'll happen if you just relax and let yourself just let it happen. I know you're trying to help, but by saying that, it doesn't help. It doesn't. Just saying, you know what, I really hope it happens for you, but no matter what, I'm always here for you. And that is the best way you can put it. I think that's the best way to address it. And I completely get it that you're trying to help, and you're thinking you're saying the right things, and you're not saying the wrong things. I think it's just not what you want to hear when your body is constantly failing you, and all you want to do is bring a little life into the world. I want to talk about IVF and the fact that IVF is a big deal. And for anybody who is starting IVF or is doing IVF or who's done IVF, I'm going to say to you that my 100% best wishes and prayers are going for you and towards you and with you. And I really pray that it works, because I know that IVF can be a very stressful time for partners, or if you're doing it solo, like, it's a very stressful time. And you know, the lady is getting pumped full of artificial hormones, and on top of that you've got the stress of hoping that it works and things like that. And you know, it's a very stressful time. And if you do know somebody that is going through IVF, you know, like, just let them know that you're there, because I mean, there's not really too much else you can do, and you know, and it's not sometimes the most relatable issue unless you've gone through that yourself. So if you are going through IVF, there are plenty of support groups out there, and I do know that they do encourage counselling and things like that. And I also think, even if you're not doing IVF and you are having problems with for conceiving or an infertility, that you should really go and speak to somebody, just to help take the pressure off yourself, because I know that doing this whole process, you put a lot of pressure on yourself, a lot of unnecessary pressure, and unfortunately your body's already battling pain and discomfort, and on top of everything else, your body is like ripping to pieces on the inside. And then you also want to try and bring a little bit of joy into your life. And it sucks, guys. It sucks. You know, having endometriosis, it sucks. And I don't know how else to put it. So I'm just going to say it. You know, like, for me, all I ever wanted was to be able to be a mother. And unfortunately, I had lost an ovary. And then a couple of years later, the day before I was due to have my big major surgery, I found out that the only ovary I had left, which I honest to God, thought was perfectly fine, was completely damaged and destroyed by endometriosis. So that took away my chances, and it absolutely broke my heart. And I'm speaking about this because I know that I'm not alone. I know that there are other women out there who've gone through or going through this same process, and I can tell you that my heart hurts, and I don't really give myself time to stop and think about it because I don't want to, because I know that it's such a real struggle for me, but I'm doing the best that I can to move forward. And I know that there are other opportunities out there, and hopefully down the track, you know, like we might be able to adopt a baby or things like that. So that's where I am on that particular topic. Now, I don't really like answering questions when it comes to people asking me about IVF, only for the due fact is that I never really got a chance to go through it. The first time we were about to go through it, the day before I was meant to start my injections, I had a severe endo flare-up that resulted in me having to have emergency surgery. So I've never gotten to go through that, so I don't feel like I could probably give you the most adequate advice. However, there is a lot of support out there. You can always speak to some people at Quendo. You can speak to some of the IVF groups, and like such as Monash or QFG or wherever you are situated. You can always go and speak to some of the counsellors there and get some help along that topic. I want to say that one thing I think is probably a good thing to know is just out of courtesy, and I don't think this even really applies to people with endo. I think it just kind of applies to people in general. If you know a couple and they don't have children, don't ask them if they're going to have kids. It's really none of your business. And I don't mean that rudely, but it's not. And you don't know what asking that question can actually do. You know, it could stir up some mixed emotions. You know, some people will be happy to answer it, and some people will be thinking probably like, oh, it's really none of your business. So maybe don't ask people that question. And another thing, this is just like a little bit of, I don't know, probably a good idea, is I've had that many endo flare-ups, and I've had women and men coming up and literally touching my belly and asking me when I'm due. Now, it couldn't sting more than barbed wire across the face, I think. Like, yes, when an endo belly is swollen, yes, you do look pregnant, but that does not give you the right to come up and touch somebody's abdomen and ask when they're due. I'm just, yeah, I kind of get a little bit upset when that happens. And I also just want to briefly mention about, you know, when a couple is trying to conceive having a baby, when the lady is suffering from endometriosis, it can cause such a strain on a relationship. And so for everybody out there that is going through this with their partner, I want you to give each other a big hug and a kiss and tell each other that you love each other no matter what, and try and take the pressure off having a baby. I know it's hard, trust me, because when you've got to do your fertility testing and you've got to do everything else, and you don't want to try and take away the passion, and sometimes that happens and it becomes like a chore, and then it's not enjoyable for anybody anymore. So if you're going through this at the moment, just stop, give each other a hug, just be with each other. And you know, at the end of the day, it's you too. And if you do get blessed to have a baby, that is amazing. is awesome, and I'm so happy for you. If you don't get to have your own baby, there are plenty of babies out there that need adopting or fostering or things like that. It really depends on where your heart sits and what you are comfortable with doing. I will leave this topic here, just because it is a big topic, and I could keep going. So if you want me to keep touching on things added to this topic, please message me and let me know. I'm trying to keep as many dot points as brief as possible, because it's a very big topic to discuss. So I hope that I've given you some insight on endometriosis and infertility, that when you hear somebody talking about it and they have endo and they say, you know, it can lead to infertility, don't take that point right there as a grain of salt. Really listen to the person and really try and understand and put yourself in their shoes. Imagine how you would be feeling if that was you, and if your body was constantly ripping you to pieces, and then your brain is constantly trying to fight time to have a baby. You know, it's a bit of a messy time. And so to all of you women out there, I send you all my love and my best wishes to you, and I honestly pray that you will receive your baby. And like I said, guys, drop me a question. Let me know if there's anything else you need me to top up with this topic. Okay? Love you guys. Take care. Mwah.